Next tonight, a problem facing New York State's youngest residents.
A new report from the state comptroller's office examining child poverty trends across the state.
A report from the state comptroller found New York State has some of the worst child poverty rates in the country.
And in the past, we've seen reports that point to some dismal stats in our area. Nearly half of all children in Rochester live in poverty, as detailed by the U.S. Census Bureau. That ranks the city second highest in the nation out of all places with a population of 100,000 or more.
I think people would be shocked if they realize the full magnitude of what students in poverty look like.
When you have people who are doing everything that they can and still can't, afford to make ends meet, that's not an indictment on them. It's really an indictment on a system that is very hard to get out of.
Poverty impacts them everywhere. It's not just one area, it's not just a couple. It is every facet of their life is impacted.
You don't understand what most of our students are going through and how poverty is affecting them until you really start digging.
I think a lot of people need to see it. I think they need to see it. I think they need to really know that there is a need, that people are struggling, families are struggling.
There are literally kids who are dealing with poverty and experiencing things that, a lot of us have never really experienced.
I talked to legislators and even, folks from the state education department. They're so focused on student test scores. And they always ask me, hey, Melinda, when are you going to get these test scores up, right? And they're so focused on us and us getting results. And I like to remind them that only a third of educational outcomes are actually produced by the things that we're able to accomplish during a school day. What our members are telling us is that kids are showing up to school with increasing needs. These are basic needs that are not being met.
New York has among the highest child poverty rates in the nation. About 18% across the state of New York children experience poverty. The number is much greater if you are a Black or brown New Yorker. New York State is ranked 40th in the country for child poverty, which is really shocking when you think about the incredible wealth. New York State is number one in the nation for the number of billionaires. We have 135 billionaires in New York State.
These families are struggling. They're struggling real bad. Sometimes the kids come to school, they're unhappy. The kids come to school, they have these behaviors, but these behaviors are because of what they're going through in their households. People don't know that these kids are like sleeping on the floor at nighttime. Or I have a family now who don't have heat in her house.
They're our wallflowers, our kids who are very withdrawn, our kids who doesn't like to speak, aren't as confident to get into different programs and different things that we do here in school, not because they don't like it or it sucks, but because they don't feel like they're the right one for it. I feel like subconsciously our kids deal with I'm not meant to be here. I'm not loved. No one really cares about me. I think it affects our kids' mental health because they're not sure who to trust.
There are kids who have to work 2 jobs to help pay the bills. I do have one boy that works overnights. He works for a few hours, and then he'll get a few hours of sleep and then come to school.
Families may be transient, that home may just be a house for a few weeks and then we move on. It may mean that we are in a shelter for who knows how long. That's a lot of stress to put on a kid who's 6 years old.
We had a situation today with a student who left the building. You know why he left the building today? His mom. He needed to get home to take care of his mom. He left there because he felt the need that he needed to get there to go protect his mom. He is 9 years old.
You can go to work every day and have multiple jobs and still be poor. You know, that population is getting larger. We have to start thinking about some ways of how we're going to mitigate that. So our outreach program is where we partner with Island Harvest. We have a certain amount of bags that we drop off, and we do this bi-weekly. This way we can make sure that we can give additional resources to family in the way of food. When you're talking about education, you're talking about more than education. You're talking about community service that goes beyond the classroom.
So when we do certain programs, we do have the backpack program. We have the food distribution program. One of our members drives in every day on Friday or Thursday morning, and she stops at the food bank. And on her own personal time, she picks up the food. She brings the food in and puts it in their lockers. We do strive really hard to keep that confidentiality piece because we would never want a kid to be embarrassed or ashamed of their situation at home.
In terms of bringing in the things that my kids need, they need things like clothes. They need things like the hygiene items. They need soap. They need shampoo. They need toothpaste. I went on Facebook one night, asked a few friends for donations. So that's kind of where the community closet started. And it has exploded to a point now where students know that they can just come in and ask for the things that they need.
Our kids are coming from homes that have mold, have lead, don't have front doors. We have a handful of kids in this building who, when we pull up to their home, there's no window. And they're keeping warm with blankets that we can provide them or with sweaters, whatever we can get. We provide food to the families. We have a Lion's Den where we have clothing, hygiene products for our kids. So we function not only as a school here, but kind of a community resource. And yeah, we are filling the gaps, and the gaps just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're running out of Band-Aids.
At the schools, we have what they call the hub, which is a specific space, and then you have some community connectors, they're called. And so they serve different roles in different schools, but essentially they're there to try to make connections with kids. The hub is to try to offer a safe space where kids can take a time out, they can get a snack. It's trying to provide another outlet and another set of eyes to see what kids need.
Our members are doing everything they can to meet these basic needs of our students, but we need help. We need the state to actually take a role in developing some policies that support lifting kids out of poverty, because 1 in 5 kids being in poverty is way too many. You know, in the wealthiest nation on earth, we should not have children who are going hungry and do not have a place to sleep at night. This is unacceptable, and poverty is not inevitable. We can do something about this. We can get change made, and we're going to do it.